What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome back here to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. And joining me today is Chris Jokin. Been a mutual with Chris for a while. Anytime that I need to talk draft or discuss prospects, always love chopping it up with Chris. So, Chris, how you doing? How you feeling? How's the offseason treating you? And hopefully, it's treating you better than the Ravens currently.
Yeah, it's going well. It's definitely going better than Justin Tucker's, that's for sure.
The fact that so much has already happened in a short amount of time period. I'm I'm not one to really like care like oh like this is ruining my mood. For me, it's all entertainment. So to see so many things just kind of stack on top of them is interesting. It's interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, they better get their shit together.
Uh, yeah. So, anyways, just to give a couple people that are watching the pretext, definitely want to dive into some discussions around some draft prospects. Me and Chris have went back and forth on the timeline a little bit about one, and that'll probably be the who we'll start off with in the offensive line. But yeah, we big fans of the draft, love the combine, love the process, and yeah, look forward to chopping up with you.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so Donovan Jackson, right? Me, I tossed you a question um, about what you thought of him as a run blocker, and circling back on it and doing like a little bit of self scouting. The Ravens already have the number one rush offense every year, and they already have like the number one run defense every year. So putting a lot of weight into how good someone is as a run blocker, like yeah, it definitely matters. And you know the whole point of even wanting better guards is to have better play. Period. So um, let me hear your thoughts on Donovan Jackson, and then you can top it off with what do you think of him as a run blocker? Do you think he can do that kind of gap scheme stuff, or you think if the Ravens kind of continue with like an even split that he'll be okay?
So with Donovan Jackson, I didn't like him coming into after I watched him in the summertime. Like I was not a fan of his because he was getting first round buzz, and I watched him and he was just clunky. He was like his feet were like cement feet. I was like, I don't like this dude. Then I come back to this season and the beginning of the year, and I'm like, oh, this dude put in some work. Like transformed his body, way more agility than he had last year. Just looks more comfortable as a player, and those things matter when you see a player who comes back completely different, completely transformed. Because from the outside looking in, what that tells me is that this dude is willing to put in the work to get better, and that definitely showed up on the field this year. And you even see that in the season where he moves to left tackle, shaky, real shaky. But then as the season goes on, you see him get better, and now you have people talking about, can this dude play left tackle in the league? Now, I think he's a guard, but the fact that people are even having that discussion, it shows the kind of work that dude is putting in and the kind of ability that he has to even have those type of conversations. As far as him as a guard, he's probably the best pass blocking guard I watched for this draft cycle. I really like the way that he holds up in pass pro, and to me, that's what Monken wants. Monken, he wants to be able to leave guys one on one and not have to have an extra guy in the backfield chipping or just have extra help. He doesn't want that. He wants 5-man protections, and he wants let's sling this thing around. Uh, and to me, a guy like Donovan Jackson, that's a guy who can elevate that left guard position and really do what Todd Monken wants to do. And as far as the run game, like I told you, he's not going to be moving people around. Even though he's big, he has that, classic guard build, where I think he's like 6'4", 230, 225, something like that. That's the kind of build that you want next to Linderbaum, ideally, because Linderbaum just, for as good as he just doesn't have that kind of mass. And when you're talking about the offensive line, you need mass at some point. And that's just taking a blueprint from what the Eagles have been doing for a decade. When you look at, they had Jason Kelsey at center, but then they would have these two behemoths at guard just to help protect him. Even though Jason Kelsey is one of the all-time best, he still needed that protection from those two massive 330, 340 type guards. And I think he's a perfect fit for what Monken and this offense wants to do.
Yeah, no doubt. I was similar in terms of coming in on him. I'm like I didn't have a strong feeling on him, and then it kind of got compiled on watching Penn State, which was we've talked about it, his first game at tackle, and Abdul Carter just had his way. I mean, he just had his way, and watching him in the run game, I'm like, man, like it's one thing to be an athletic zone type mover, and it's another to be someone that can plow people out of the way, but. That was a rough watch, but then I circled back to the Oregon game, and there's plenty of NFL defensive talent in the Oregon game, and you could tell like there was a major leap, like a really big leap in terms of the way he was getting to his sets, the way that he was getting depth, the way that he was striking with his hands. So the improvement is there, and I mean you can't knock a prospect on improving throughout the season with more reps and experience and coaching. I mean, that's what you hope for, because you hope that those guys are coachable at the next level. So I definitely circled back on him. I definitely kind of came off of the high, like the horse of being like he just isn't a great run blocker. I mean, to your point, the Monken wants 5-man protections, and the fact that when people ask why draft a guard and high and premium position and all that stuff, like the fact that if we can get another player on the field that can block on that island, it just does so much for the offense. Then you can go into 12 and 11 a lot, more so 11 in the multiple 3 receiver sets, and get more playmakers on the field. So I'm for that. Donovan Jackson is certainly climbed up my board, and yeah, I'll be watching. I really do hope that he goes out here and shows out this combine, because I'm certain he will probably get that back end of the first round talk.
Yeah, and that's the question now. Is where does he go? Our team's going to look at that versatility and that bump him up. I mean, some of the whispers that you hear on certain podcasts, like they'll indicate yeah, it sounds like that dude might be a back end of the first round type of cat. Hopefully for the Ravens, I hope he's a second round guy. He's there in the second round, because I don't believe that they're going to choose a guard in the first round. Now, EDC, he's done some, outside of the box things when it comes to the draft and the typical Ravens archetype, the way that they like to do things in the draft. But I'm not sure that they put a high premium on guards, especially in the first round. So I would hope that I wish that they would, because you can lump him in, and then another guy that we'll probably talk about too, as far as first round picks at guard. But I'm not sure that they go that route.
Yeah, I remember someone making a point of they don't prioritize guard a lot in the Lamar offense. Like it hasn't been something they've invested a lot of capital in. Of course, they signed Zeitler, but it seems like in years past, one of the guard spots will be a question mark, and they kind of live with that, and they're willing to risk less of an expense there, which is it is what it is. I mean, there's not really much analysis to go on it besides it's just something they don't value a lot. And I do hope that coming around this cycle with some of the guys coming out that can play tackle and guard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe like Zabel or Milam, but there isn't that maybe Milam, but that I've been looking for that Tyler Smith prospect of someone that's been playing guard. I mean, playing tackle. And then day one he's going to step into guard and be a finisher. And I think that's something that I've been wanting a lot. And I think the segue into the guy that I was talking about was Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia. Let me get some of your thoughts on him, and I'll follow you up.
Yeah, I liked him a lot when I was watching him. Obviously he's left tackle over there down at West Virginia, and one thing about that West Virginia offense is they're gonna run the hell out of that ball. And he was, like you said, he was one of the most physical tackles in this class when it just comes to finishing and understanding leverage in the run game. He could be a little bit grabby, get his hands on the outside, but just that tenacity that he has, I like that. And then we saw it down in the Senior Bowl where they moved him inside, they were moving him around, and he had some hiccups there, which you expect. It's different type of footwork, things happen quicker on the inside, but I think he can definitely excel and develop into a really good guard in the league. I don't think he'll play tackle. You could just see it on tape where he just doesn't really have that type of foot quickness to be able to hang with the elite type of pass rushers. Now, on the inside, I like his athleticism because he's not a slouch. It's just there's a difference when you're playing tackle and guard as far as the athleticism that you have to have when you're facing top tier pass rushers. And I don't think he has that as far as like the physical traits. He has everything in his toolbox to be a really good guard. And I think this is a dude who can probably be I had him end of the first round, second round type of guy, and I think whoever snags him up, I think they're going to be getting a real good interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's the finishing I mean, it's kind of hard to miss. Like, he's putting guys in the sideline, he's putting guys downfield, east and west. Like, you can definitely tell that the that tenacity and that will to impose your will on someone else is there. Like, he does have that kind of ass kicking mindset. Him and Zabel were both guys I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, like, these guys just want to finish the play. Like, the whistle's gonna blow and they're gonna block a little bit after. Was definitely impressed with his for being such a big guy. I felt like his ability to move was impressive. Like, his ability to get, like I said, east and west. I thought that was
Yeah,
a plus for him.
Sometimes a little too good because there will be times where he'll get to his mark a little bit too fast, and then he'll kind of have to double back and kind of reposition himself because he would get out there so fast.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was the Penn State game. A couple times that happened where he'd get out there pretty quick, and then I think it was the rep against Abdul Carter. Funny enough, that he had to reposition himself, but his anchor is good. His to your point, his footwork and his athleticism is pretty good. And I'm a huge fan of him. Loved when we could get him in the third round. Probably isn't going to happen anymore. He's probably going to go 40, 50, somewhere around there. But yeah, he's a stud. I'm a huge fan of him. And we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But any final thoughts on Millam before we move to probably my favorite? It's probably my guy.
Oh yeah, let me hear this.
So, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. I like a huge fan. I think I'm trying to remember who I've watched the most film on so far in this class, and it might be him. I've probably watched every North Dakota game in the Caddy Cut-Ups Google Drive that they have of the offensive line. Like, first, I think North Dakota's offensive line is hilarious. It's like 5 white dudes, and every game there's just carnage. There's there's either someone on the defensive line getting put on their ass, someone's flipping over somebody. It's like a WWE ring out there. I don't know what's happening, but Gray Zabel, obviously he played left tackle in college. I think he did. I can't remember the PFF snap chart thing, but I'm pretty sure he played another spot at some point.
He played everywhere. He played 14 snaps at center, 362 at left guard,
Yeah, there you go.
3 snaps at right guard, 1,064 at right tackle, and in this season he was exclusively at left tackle at 794 snaps. So literally everywhere on the line. And people are going to automatically be lazy and be like, "Oh, he's like Makari." No, he's not like Makari. Like, don't be lazy. Don't just see that and say this dude is Makari. They're not the same physically. They don't play the same at all. They don't have the same attributes. Completely different players. Now, are both versatile? Yeah. But there's levels to versatility. Last year the big talk was Graham Barton, and people this time last year were like, "Oh, he's a Patrick McCarry," and all right, whatever. Like if that's what you want to say, cool. Look at what Graham Barton did as a first year center for the Bucks, one of the best rookies in the NFL last year, and I think Gray Zabel is pretty much on that spectrum of being a rookie who just comes in, moves into the interior because Graham Barton was a left tackle as well, moved inside to center this year for the Bucks. I think Gray Zabel is one of those guys who's going to be able to just make a seamless transition. And the fact that you saw him do it at the Senior Bowl, he damn near had a perfect Senior Bowl week. Like he may have lost 2-3 times, maybe. And people are like, you can't put too much stock into the Senior Bowl. You can't put it. All right. Well, then what the fuck am I supposed to put stock in? Like, the tape is there. He moved inside, stepped up in competition, shut down some of the best pass rushers in the nation because it's not like there were slouches there. And, to me, he's, definitely, in my opinion, he would be like a slam dunk pick at 27. But I don't make the decisions for the Ravens, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a huge fan of his. Obviously, the versatility is there. I don't. Yeah, the Makari comp is. I mean, like we're comparing a guy who's Makari's like what, like 6'4", 300, and comparing him to guys like 6'7", 320. So don't even think that's really a worthwhile comparison. The physicality is there. Like same thing with him and Milam. Like I think he has a lot more bend to his game than Milam does. Milam does in terms of flexibility. I felt like when he got into his sets, he wasn't. It wasn't like he was slow-footed or not meeting the guys at the arc. Like he was taking like David Walker from Central Arkansas is probably one of the more like twitched up athletes I've watched so far in this class, and there were plenty of times where Zabel would take Walker to the arc and not let him beat him. And Walker's 6'1", 260, so he's one of those guys that like, okay, like this guy could probably beat me around the bend if he wanted to, but and very impressive. Absolutely at 27. It's not a sexy pick, but it's the pick that is gonna to the point we've been talking about with some of these offensive linemen. We need to pass protect with 5, and we need someone physical up front, and that means Zabel just fits it.
Yeah, and it's like, do you want to just get by or do you want to elevate? Do you want to be able to recreate a 2019 type of offensive line where teams can try to take the runaway, but your offensive line is so good that it doesn't matter what they do. And too many times we've seen teams just load up, well, good defenses load up and be able to take away the Ravens run game. And obviously when you play, you know, the Buccaneers or some random team like that in the regular season, like yeah, you can run the ball on them and you can have the number one offense, run offense in the league. That's fine. But when it comes down to crunch time, what's going to elevate your run game? What's going to elevate your team and the pass game? And I think that's the interior of the offensive line, which is there's no doubt that that's the weakness of the Ravens right now.
Yeah, and I was talking to the good old Voss and his thoughts on the what the Ravens need to attack in this draft cycle is that the 2-minute drill, the 4-minute drill kind of offense, and to me that definitely means the pass protectors, the pass defenders, pass catchers, whatever term you want to throw in there that applies a 2-minute offense. I think that's these offensive linemen. They can go out there and be able to hold up in protection and give Lamar time to make plays. And I mean, we saw last year in the Buffalo game, the play to Isaiah Likely was Lamar creating time and making a play. So it would definitely be nice. And we saw in the Philly game too. I mean, they kind of got bullied up front, and the game was pretty over pretty quickly. And sure, Philly did that to a lot of people, but there's no reason why we can't come out of this draft feeling like, okay, like we can pass protect. Like, we don't have to keep going out here and having to put Ricard on the field and Kolar and some of these bigger, blocking bodies just so we can pass protect, because we know that our guards are replaceable.
I mean, to us, they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any other offensive linemen that you'd like to shout out? You think maybe slam dunk pick at 27 or 59 or really anywhere throughout the draft?
So I got two for you. One is like a high end guy, and then the other one is like a under the radar type of cat. So first round dude is Josh Simmons, obviously. To me, he would be one of the perfect picks. Obviously, depends on health, because we know he had a injury, a knee injury.
Yeah.
Don't know what exactly it was. I guess we'll find out in a few days. But there's rumors it was a patella. There's rumors it was an ACL. So there's not a bunch of clarity, because those two timelines are completely different. So it's going to be interesting to see what his timeline is looking like, what it actually was. But to me, that's a guy who I think he has experience playing on the right side. Obviously, Kent went to Ohio State, won the left tackle job, and was damn good before he got hurt. Him and Donovan Jackson was probably my favorite watch to see those guys work in tandem together, because the chemistry that a left tackle and a left guard have to have, and those two dudes had it. Like, if there was any way that the Ravens could just draft those two guys, I'd be over the moon. And a lot of people, they say, all right, what if the Ravens re-sign Ronnie? Cool, I would still draft Josh Simmons, put him at left guard. Ronnie doesn't have the best bill of health. He doesn't have the best injury history. We all know what happened to his ankle. Props to him for coming back. But there's still always that, little thing in the back of your head where you're like, damn, one false move and it could be over for Ronnie. And having a dude like Josh Simmons is insurance, but it also addresses an issue at left guard, because I do think he can play left guard. And then you have your succession plan, similar to what we saw with Jonathan Ogden, obviously, where Jonathan Ogden came in and played left guard, then moved over to left tackle. So I think it would be a smart pickup for now and the future. So that would be my slam dunk. What do you think of Josh Simmons?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I love the. I don't know who was doing them, but there was a draft film content creator doing interviews with him. It was him and Booker, and hearing the way they described their technique, the way that they cinch themselves in pass sets, it was really interesting to hear the way he described his stance. Like, he was getting very in depth, like a ridiculous amount in depth of like, hey, like, I'm lining up in this stance because I think that it gives me a better chance to meet the edge rusher at the arc in case they go there. So with him, to your point, like, definitely could see him playing guard and then kicking out the tackle eventually. He's so, his mirror ability is really good. His ability to mirror, there's very rarely a time where these guys are doing all these crazy moves and he's falling for it. He's very patient.
Yeah, he's real smooth.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh Simmons, like, absolutely. I'm so many people are scarred by the Ojabo pick and people being injured coming in the draft, and mean, that's just I don't think it's close in terms of comparison. I think Simmons is way more ready to be a pro than Ojabo was. Ojabo was raw as a chicken.
Yep.
So
and completely different injury too.
right, exactly. So yeah, I would Simmons absolutely. I would be all for that pick. Who was the other player that you had?
Oh, so my underrated guy is Jalen Rivers from Miami. He played left tackle, moved into guard. So he played both spots. He was left tackle and left guard. I think he's a guard at the next level. I think just like a lot of these dudes that we talked about when we talk about Wyatt Millen, Gray Zabel. I think these dudes. I think they'll be interior players, but I think in case of emergency, they can play tackle too. And I put Jalen Rivers right in that bucket with them because I think he can play tackle in a pinch. But at guard, I really like this dude. Another one of these massive guys who's 6'5", 320, 330. Just really, really solid. Like just his build is super solid. It's not sloppy or anything like that. I really like how he moves. And his arms, like I don't know if I think he got measured. Yeah, he got measured at the Senior Bowl. I don't know what his measurements were, but like his arm length, they're pretty damn good for a guard. Uh, I just the way he moves, he's physical too. And I just like the way he mirrors and the way that he recovers when it comes to pass pro. And that's a common theme that we've been talking about. How can guys handle one-on-one pass pro situations? And I think that's where he excels is being able to pass protect. And obviously the experience at left tackle gives him a leg up on being able to mirror, especially interior defenders. But he's a guy I feel like more people should be talking about him. But he just doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching Miami versus Virginia Tech, and that Miami offensive line, Cam Ward, a lot of the time just had plenty of time to sit back there. And I remember recognizing Rivers. And there's another guy I think who's also drafted out of Miami. And the way that I feel like a lot of the time they would be able to set the line of scrimmage in terms of dictate the terms of the rusher, kind of similar to Simmons, where we're talking about like mirroring and being able to scoop and like get into some of these guys' chests. There's some prospects that I've watched where I'm like, man, like once you let these guys get in your chest, like David Walker, for example, when we get to the defensive side, I'll definitely touch on him. Like you let him get in your chest, the rep is over. Like this guy is just he's forklifting dudes. And sure, it's a FBS level, FCS or whatever it is, but some of these defensive linemen, I'm impressed in the ways that they can create leverage with their length, and it's I think it's really important in today's NFL with the condensed box and too high safety, blah blah blah, stacking the box. Like leverage is probably one of the more important traits to have as an offensive lineman. Understanding leverage, creating leverage, maintaining leverage, and Rivers is certainly one of them. That him and Simmons kind of same boat of understanding leverage. Hey, like I need to push this guy a certain way in order to keep the pocket and or in run blocking, maintain the gap integrity. So definitely someone I probably should watch a little bit more of because I've like a lot of these guys. Once I get out of like my top 125, like I'll see them in passing and just write them down. I'm like, okay, like mark a nice play on that guy, and he's one of them that I probably should circle back on.
Yeah, definitely. He's one that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on.
No doubt. So yeah, flipping to the well, actually, here don't know if you have watched Inbound from Purdue, but here from Jason, not even gonna try that last name. Any strong feelings on Inbound from Purdue?
So I like the way he moves. just the movement skills that he has, they're phenomenal, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tests the best out of any offensive lineman in the draft. Just he moves like a damn tight end almost. And if when you just look at the history of movement skills and the short shuttle, if your offensive lineman post a good short shuttle, is a pretty good indication that he'll be a really good pro at the next level. And I have no doubt that his will be good. Now, the issues I have with him, he just he's just not strong enough right now. Like, he has the movement skills, uh, the hand technique is really good as well, but that base of power, I think is going to take a little bit of time for him to kind of get that grown man strength, kind of get some sand in his pants. But I think once he does, like a year or two into the league, I think he'll definitely develop into somebody who, could be a really good interior player. But it's going to take time. Like, I don't think he's going to be one of the, like we spoke about, Graham Barton, how he came in and he was just hit the ground running. I don't think that that's going to be the case with I think it's Bo that you say. That's what they were saying
Probably.
at the Senior Bowl. So I think it'll take some time, but he definitely has the skill set and the technique to definitely excel at the interior.
Yeah, the hand fighting and the his hand technique is just something I don't think I've seen like in a while. It's just it's otherworldly the way that he uses his hands and defensive rushers are putting their arms out and he's like a black belt.
Yeah.
He really is black belt certified with his hands, and that's definitely impressive. And the technique is there. And to your point, I do agree with the functional strength portion of it, but um, definitely something that an NFL weight room and an NFL conditioning program could probably help. And adding a little bit of weight and you know down the line, maybe a year or two, NFL weight, NFL strength comes and certainly could be a guy that's high level. I mean, no doubt. It's just the hand technique is just something I keep going back to, and I'm like, wow, like I don't know if I've ever seen a prospect so refined as as young as he is. So, um, flipping to the defensive side, uh, want to start with the meat and potatoes and talk some interior defensive linemen. Um, I'll start with Derek Harmon from Oregon. I want to get your thoughts on him. I want to say I've watched 3 games with him now. I watched not the championship, the Rose Bowl, whatever game that was against Ohio State. I watched that one, um, and I do have some functional strength questions in terms of run defense. I'm just trying to get more of the feel on him as a prospect. What have you seen? Once again, here I am in the weeds of run defense when the Ravens have a number 1 run defense every year, and it's not really the skill set we're looking for. What do you what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's a guy, he flashes as far as being able to rush the passer, and that's what I'm putting a premium on right now. I want to be able to see if guys can get after the quarterback. And like you said, we're Ravens fans, so obviously we love a team who puts a premium on being able to stop the run. So it's kind of different when you flip that switch and you're like, all right, we need dudes who can hunt the quarterback. Like, that's what they do best right now. And that's kind of something that you have to flip. And I think Harmon is definitely one of those dudes who he's definitely a guy that's gonna want to get to the quarterback. I mean, obviously he can play the run, but that's not what he excels at. He's not going to be a guy that you can put in there and it's just going to be a run stuffer. He's a guy who wants to hunt the quarterback. He's going to be able to make those pass rush moves and be quick on the inside. And I think that's what the Ravens need. That's what they need move more towards. And you see that in a guy like Travis Jones, Travis Jones, not the best run defender coming in as far as nose tackles are concerned, but the Ravens evolved. You know, you go from a Brandon Williams to a Travis Jones. And I think that's the progression of the NFL. And that's what you want to see as far as guys who can maybe not be where you want them to be as far as run defenders, but you can teach them. That can develop. You know, that can come with time. A guy like Derek Harmon, he's somebody who I what would he be, like the Ravens' second best interior defender if you put him on the Ravens right now? So I'm putting a premium on the guys who can go after the quarterback, and he's definitely one of those dudes.
Yeah, he's quick. He is. He reminded me a lot of Braden Fisk from FSU, where it felt like his rush wins were very quick. The way that he set up defensive linemen throughout the game. I want to say it. First off, Oregon being in the Big Ten is such a brain numbing thought, but one of the Ohio State games that they played, um, he he got after the quarterback like very quickly. Like he was in the backfield. Uh, he had like 3 or 4 game changing type of plays as a pass rusher, and that was like I remember watching and I'm like, ah man, like the run game, he just kind of looks like he's out there playing patty cake, kind of running along, and then the Ohio State starting throwing the football, and you see him split a guard and like pretty quickly initially like burst through the line of scrimmage and enforce a pressure. And so I agree. We need that pass rush type of defensive lineman. I do want to get your thoughts on the style of lineman. Do you think we need? Obviously, I feel like we're going to be in consensus of a 1 or a 2, but do you think we need that 3 tech? Do you think maybe a 4 or 4i or 5? Like, what are your thoughts on the style of defensive lineman we could use?
Um, I, I don't think they should just draft one. I think they should take two. This group is, in my opinion, the deepest group in the draft, and you have all kinds of flavors. You know, you have Derek Harmon, who's 305, 310, and then you have the other side of that of his teammate, Jamari Caldwell, who's 335, 340. I think the Ravens need both. You know, if and it's not just because they won the Super Bowl that I'm going to use the Eagles as an example. It's just, to me, like that's what you want to do for your defensive line. You want to be able to keep those guys fresh. And some of the best Ravens defensive lines have been when they've had deep rotations. You know, you can go back to, you know, the Corey Redding days when they had all of those dudes and they were able to bring in guys. And last year when Matabike and Travis Jones went out, you saw a huge drop off when they would have to bring in, you know, Brent Urban and Broderick Washington. You know, you can't have that, especially if you're playing in big time playoff games and you know your team needs a big play, because we know the Ravens have lacked those in the playoffs. The best way to get those big plays and is to keep your defensive line fresh. You know, you can't have Matabike and Travis Jones taking all of these snaps and expect them to still have the same type of impact. The Eagles, they're constantly rotating guys in and out, in and out, in and out, and different body types. You know, you have the Milton Williams, who's, you know, like 290, 300, 300-pound kind of player. Then obviously you got Jalen Carter. Then you have the other big ass dude. What's his
Jordan
name?
Davis.
Jordan Davis. So I think they should take both. Both. I don't think it should be an either or kind of thing. And in every mock that I would do, I'm taking two because you just don't pass up this kind of talent, and you don't see this every year when it comes to the interior defensive line group.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the biggest thing to me is that 5 or 4 eye, like seeing Brent Irvin go out there, obviously Ravens legend, fucking whatever, but they need to get better. They need to get more live bodies on the defensive line. Broderick Washington, he just really isn't a pass rush threat. Same with Irvin. Tavius is developing a little bit, and there's certainly maybe some room to grow there. But yeah, I would definitely wager that they need two in this draft. To your point, and they definitely need two different styles. To me, if they can get a 5, someone could play a 5 or a 4 tech, and then if they can get someone that can kind of slide between a 3 and a 0, like that'd be ideal. And that kind of does lead me into the next player I'm going to talk about is Jason Z here. He's spamming him. He loves him. Is Darius Alexander from Toledo. Probably another early watch for me in this class, and yeah, he has it all. Like, he really does. Now, of course, the people can put the competition into question, but he went out there in the Senior Bowl and he kicked ass. Like, he went out there in the Senior Bowl and he had a really strong week of putting in. I mean, some of the really good players too. Like, I remember seeing a couple reps against him and Sable, like him and some guys that are going to go probably ahead of where he does. Very refined moveset, ability to stack and peak is there in the run game. Someone that I'm higher on, and I thought I was high on him, and then turns out now he's like getting first round, like ahead of us type of mocks, and I think he's 25 too, or 23. He's old. He's not like a 21-year-old raw green type guy. Like, he's kind of in that same Keon. I want to say Keon White.
From Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he's in that same like older prospect, but like comes in, that he's going to be a day one impact. So, what are your thoughts on Alexander from Toledo?
Yeah, like the whole age thing. I don't give a damn about that. Like, just draft whoever's good. That's where I stand on it. Look at Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was just like, he was 30 years old and had a hell of a rookie season. Do you think the Commanders give a shit how old he is right now? Hell no. Just take good players. So as far as that's concerned, like, I don't give a damn about that. But like you said, versatile guy. A guy who can play multiple spots for you, who can start off playing on the outside, playing 5 tech on early downs. Then you move him in on the inside, and he can have that kind of versatility to line up on the inside and just go up against guards and use that athleticism that he has. So he's definitely a dude who, if he's there, let's say second round for whatever reason. I know you say he's getting first round buzz, but if he's there in the second round, he's definitely a guy that you have to consider because of that versatility and being able to wear multiple hats. And we know the Ravens love that. You look at guys like Courtney Upshaw, Pernell McPhee, guys who are able to line up on the outside, but also kick in on the inside on pass rush downs. Ravens love that. So if they can get their hands on somebody like that, I think it'd be a home run type of pick.
Yeah, no doubt. And I remember in the pre-draft interview with DeCosta that a lot of the times he'll say that he picks the younger player according to his computer chart, whatever. But Alexander's one guy that I'm like, I don't think it matters that much to me. He's ready to come in and make an impact because it's the way he wins is just violent, efficient, hand placement. It really is all there with him for me. So, no, we're getting a little close on time. Are there any other defensive linemen or even edge rushers you'd like to toss out there?
Named one earlier, Jamari Caldwell.
Yeah.
He's a guy. His steam is starting to pick up with him now. But he's a guy who I think he's that next progression of what a nose tackle is going to be in the NFL. Like I said, Ravens graduated from having the Brandon Williams type to just run stuffers to a Travis Jones type who can put a little heat on the quarterback. And Jamar Caldwell, he is that too. Like to me, I don't know what his round projection is, but if you can get him in the mid rounds, like I would do that in a heartbeat because the Ravens need another guy, who can come in for Travis Jones, and there isn't a huge drop off. We don't know what's going to happen with Michael Pierce. Some people say he might retire. I don't know, but anyway, he's getting older. He gets injured. He missed a few games this year. So it's always good to kind of have that in the back of your mind as far as being able to build for the future. And I think Caldwell, he's a guy who he can rush the damn quarterback. If you go look at his stats, I don't think he had one sack this season. But he transferred from Houston, and I think in Houston he had like 6 sacks or something like that the year before. And if you just watch his tape, pressure, 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 like that dude can move, and he does not stop. Like there could be a play 30 yards down the field, and he's chasing that play down. So a guy like that who plays with their hair on fire, and who has the kind of quickness and ability and to move the way he does at 330, 340, I really love that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Another name that I'll throw out there is Peebles from Virginia Tech. He's another quick winner, very athletic, swim club. Like he has a lot of moves in his arsenal, and that Virginia Tech defense, honestly, like it kept them in a lot of games last year because of him. Power Island, strong. I think they have a linebacker as well that's declaring for the draft. And at least for that defensive line, you could tell like they had a really good defensive line coach there because both of those guys, Power Island and Peebles, like they had a plan, like a very detailed pass rush plan, and the way that they attacked the offensive line. So it was impressive, and those are two guys that you get into the day 2, day 3. Absolutely, I wouldn't think twice about picking either of them just because the way that what we've talked about with the pass rush focus, like they both come in and that's what they're going to give you right away. Like those guys are going to give you third down. Hey, we need someone to go play the 3 across from Matabike. Like Peebles can do that. Like hey, we need someone to go play a wide 7 or a wide 9, and Power Island can do that. So two guys that I'll toss out there that I'm probably going to end up higher on than consensus. So yeah, just to close out, I think we'll do another episode. We'll do another episode at some point later in the later before the draft starts. But just to close out, give me three guys here at this combine that are either you think are gonna blow it out of the gym, or 3 guys that maybe you're in the middle on. This combine means a lot.
One I already mentioned with Marcus Bowe. I think he's going to blow it up. The other one is Nick Emmanwori, the safety out of South Carolina. And then Shamar Stewart. I think he's going to blow it up. I think he's going to blow the damn doors off the combine.
So for me, Darian Porter out of Iowa State. I was looking at him and got looking at some information that he was a really good 100-meter track athlete type of guy in high school. So there's a chance that he has kind of like that Tyreek Woolen-esque combine and he starts getting those comps. So I could certainly see that. And then another guy, and of course, biased, whatever. Look, Marion Hampton might jump like 40, like he might jump or broad jump a ridiculous number. Like his lower half is just so impressive to me. And of course, whatever, North Carolina, but he is a very impressive athlete, and I'm looking forward to seeing him test. Really, not much of a, I don't think his stock really, I don't think is going to change much, but he could go out there and be one of those like high nine relative athletic score type of guys.
Yeah.
Um, I would say Jack Sawyer. I think this needs to be a really good combine for him. In the three cone, the shuttle, like he needs to go out there and um, and have a good combine because his stock's kind of fluttering right now. He went from the top 20s and now people are putting him the back end of the second. So if he can go out here and have a good combine, have a good showing, um, it's really those athletic drills, the three and the shuttle. I think those are some that he needs to show he can have that quote unquote bend and ankle flexion and all those things. I think that's going to be important for him. And then one more player I'll throw out there is I think not that it's important, but more I've really impressed and want to see is Jody Barron from Texas. He closes like lightning quick as a corner that's driving down on the ball. I really am interested to see the 10-yard split and the broad from him because I do think there's a chance that he goes out there and puts up some really impressive numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what, because I don't think he's a cornerback. Like, I don't think he's an outside cornerback,
Right.
but I think he's like, who's the dude from the Lions, from Bama?
Branch.
Yeah, I think he's like a branch. Like, I think that's how you want to use him. I mean, obviously Texas, they didn't have the luxury of being able to use him that way, and they kind of use Andrew Makuba that way. But I think at the next level, I think that's probably his best spot. Just let him be a playmaker.
Yeah, no doubt. And he is a playmaker. No, like the Georgia game. I mean, even though Beck is not he is what he is, but um, Beck was statting padding the stats for every defensive back that game. But
Mhm.
um, Barron was impressive. I thought he was impressive for the way that he would key in on Beck's eyes, and there was a play where um, he dove out like 7 yards and just snagged it off the ground.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if there's don't know if you have anything else, but I didn't want to run it too long. Definitely we'll do another episode and we can touch on some more. Um, any final thoughts?
I'm curious to see this cornerback group. I mean, you alluded to it with Barron, which he'll probably be lumped in with the corners, but I want to see how Maxwell Harrison looks. I want to see how Azariah Thomas looks. I want to see how Zy Alexander looks. I want to see how Jacob Parrish looks. Like, I want to know how these guys test because in a lot of these schemes, you don't really get to see them turn and run that much. Zy Alexander, you get to see him turn a little bit more, but like a Quincy Riley, like you don't really get to see that acceleration. So I want to be able to see how athletic some of these dudes are because when it comes to the cornerback position, it's reactive, and that's where you see the testing show up a little bit more on the field, like of an actual NFL game. So I want to see how some of these guys test because the scheme definitely can hide some of the physical limitations that some of these cornerbacks have. So that's probably the group that I'll be watching. One of the closest.
Yeah, no doubt. I earlier there's a group of corners that I kind of have clustered together of Amos and Thomas and of course Revel won't test because of the ACL, but Porter as well in that group. Like they're kind of all like I have similar thoughts on them, but seeing the way that Zy Alexander and um, some of the other later guys, like they're all kind of like I'm like okay, like I feel good about them, but like let me see them test first. So that kind of grouping of like the day two, late day one, day two corners, I think is going to be really important in the where I rank them.
Mhm.
And I look forward to it with you as well. I really do look forward to seeing how they go out there, and I really do think Porter's going to be a showstopper at this combine.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so I appreciate you joining as always. Always love talking ball with you. Always good to have nuance, and I feel like our discussions usually hit that good amount of nuance. Any final thoughts? Where can the people find you? Any shout outs? Um,
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Just Joking. You can find me on Sip to Tally with Coach Evans. We're going to be doing wide receivers tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5:30. So you could check that out on Sip to Tally page, and then Deep Cover, which is my podcast with Kerry Stevenson and Michael Crawford. We might be cooking up a little something for the draft, just draft coverage wise and film study stuff. So be on the lookout for that because we might be making a comeback.
I hope so, man. I've been waiting. Damn it.
Yeah, you know how we do. We'll do one show and then we'll go back into the cave for like 4 months. So we'll see how this goes. We're still working the kinks out to it. I actually met up with Mike last week. He was in New York, so
Awesome.
yeah. So we chopped it up a little bit about this idea. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be on my timeline.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate you for joining. Appreciate
Yeah,
everyone
man.
for being interactive in the chat. Jason Z. And we will see you guys next time.